What up, y'all? Olympus Gaming back again with another video. Today, as you could tell, I actually switched my recording area. I actually moved from my bedroom to my living room because I thought I would a little bit more space here, a better backdrop. And if you guys like this, let me know because I actually want to start recording more commentary videos like this. Just kind of like experimenting with different content outside of reviews. So if you guys like this setup and you guys want to see more commentary videos with me just talking to you guys like this, let me know in the comment section down below. But that's not why you're here. You're here because you want to discuss Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie. Okay, so Sonic 3 is finally out. I'm actually recording this on Christmas Day. So with that being said, happy holidays and happy New Year's to all my followers and subscribers. I really appreciate all the love y'all been showing throughout the year. It's been kind of a rocky year for content. I haven't been posting as much as I would like to just due to other obligations, but you guys have stuck in there. My new subscribers, salute to y'all. And yeah, man, we here. So I really appreciate all the love y'all been showing throughout the year. And 2025 is going to be a great year for content. I'm going to be trying to experiment with different things and see how that goes. But without further ado, let's talk about Sonic 3. Now, before we jump into the movie thing, I want to just bring awareness to the DLC that dropped for Sonic X Shadow Generations. If you guys are not aware, the Shibuya stage has been released for Sonic X Shadow. I was going to make a whole separate review for it, but honestly, it's not enough content to facilitate a review. So I just figured I'd talk about it right here. So if you don't know, Sega has released kind of like supplementary material or companion material for the movie release of Sonic 3. So if you've watched Sonic 3, you already know that one of the main encounters that Sonic and Shadow has is in Shibuya, Japan. So this DLC is surrounding that when Shadow first drops into Japan, and then the levels pretty much you kind of running around and has some really cool sequences to it too. So I definitely recommend you guys try it, play it out. It's $5.99 on the PSN store if you're playing on PS5 or wherever you get your games from. So it's fun. It also comes with two different challenge levels. One where you have to pop a bunch of balloons in a time period, and one where you collect a bunch of rings. But I will say the main level is a nice visual treat for the fans of the movies and fans of the games alike. So Shibuya, DLC, Sonic X Shadow, go download it and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now let's get into the movie review. Now before we jump into this, I want to give a fair warning. This review may indeed have spoilers. Now I haven't scripted this review. This review is not scripted. It's just me literally camera on talking directly to the mic. So if I'm kind of rambling all over the place, that's kind of why it's not scripted. But I just want to let you know I will be talking about some things in the movie that may be considered spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it, come back to this review, and then drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. So without further ado, let's get into the Sonic 3 review. Let's go. All right, so with this review, I have my iPad here because I wanted to kind of keep the review somewhat professional, kind of keep it pushing forward. I don't want to just be sitting here rambling all night long. So I did write some notes on my iPad just to kind of keep myself, hold myself accountable for the points that I want to make about this review and talk about the movie itself. But first off, I want to just kind of talk about the Sonic movies as a whole, because now that is officially a trilogy, I want to kind of sit back and give my thoughts on the trilogy as a whole. So I remember, time is really flying by, y'all. Like, I remember it like yesterday when the first Sonic movie was initially teased with the ugly Sonic, and I'm glad they redesigned it, but I remember that like yesterday. Like, I don't know where time has gone, but I can't believe we're already at the third movie and we're going into 2025, and I feel like the first movie just came out. So when the Sonic movie initially came out, me being a super big Sonic fan, I was ecstatic. Me growing up with the franchise and following the franchise for all these years, it was just great to finally see Sonic get some mainstream recognition. And if you look at today, like the state of the franchise today, Sonic has seen a bit of a resurgence. I have seen more Sonic merchandise in stores. I've seen more kids talk about Sonic. I've seen Sonic kind of everywhere now. So it's kind of bittersweet to kind of see like how the series is kind of back to, I won't say like 90s peak of popularity, but pretty much back in the mainstream eye. And with the movie franchise doing as well as it's doing, like, it beat out Mufasa. Like, it beat out a Lion King movie this weekend, y'all. So that's kind of crazy. But just kind of see where how the franchise has grown, you know, since the release of these movies. This has been great, especially for a long-time Sonic fan like myself. So props to Sega for that. So yeah. So salute to the movies. I love the movies. Like I said, I remember when it came out. It was actually the last movie I saw before the pandemic lockdown. So go figure. But yeah, man, we're 3 movies in. We're officially a trilogy. Wow. All right, so let's kind of touch on my expectations going into Sonic 3. So if you watch Sonic 1 and 2 and you saw the end of 2, there was a big reveal, Shadow the Hedgehog, right? So, which surprised me because when I first watched Sonic 1 and 2, I really thought that they were going to kind of follow the classic formula. You know, 1 is going to be Sonic by himself, 2, we're going to have an adventure with Sonic and Tails, and then 3 is really going to focus in on Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Angel Island, whatever. But not so much in the movie franchise. It was like 1 was focused on Sonic, and 2 was focused on Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and then with 3, we're going to jump all the way to the modern series with Sonic Adventure 2 with the reveal of Shadow. So that was pretty interesting. So it looks like the movies are kind of doing this own thing with character reveals and whatever. So that was kind of crazy when I saw that at the end of 2. And mind you, I watched 2 release weekend, and when they revealed Shadow, people went crazy. Like, people were screaming and like, yeah. Because, you know, Shadow was kind of like, Shadow is arguably the most popular character in Sonic. You know, he's not my favorite. I'm just going to put that out there right now. Shadow is not my favorite character personally. But for a lot of people, Shadow is that guy. And I do like him as a character. Don't get me wrong. Just because he's not my favorite doesn't mean I don't like him as a character. I think Shadow's dope. I think he's really cool. I like his backstory. You know, I like what he represents. Like, I like Shadow. But the way the fans just exploded in the theater, it was like, wow, okay. So a lot of people were really excited. And I have to remember, you know, I am an older Sonic fan. I've been playing Sonic since the Genesis. A very huge percentage of the Sonic community, a lot of their first experiences with Sonic the Hedgehog was Sonic Adventure 2. So their attachment to that character in that particular era of Sonic is a little bit different than mine, because by the time Adventure 2 came out, I was already, you know, engulfed into Sonic. I was already playing 1, 2, 3, Adventure 1, handheld. Like, I was already like deep in the Sonic, you know, deep in the Sonic games or whatever. But for a lot of people, Sonic Adventure 2 was their like gold standard. For me, it's Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but for them, Sonic Adventure 2. So I definitely understand the connection there. But going into the movie, and I was expecting them to kind of follow the Sonic Adventure 2 you know, kind of storyline. So I know the movies kind of do their own thing, so they don't necessarily follow any game to a particular T, but I did expect them to follow a little bit closer to the Sonic Adventure 2 storyline, and for the most part, they did. So that's that. But my expectations for the movie, I always try to keep my expectations at bay. You know, I never try to overhype anything. You know, even for Sonic 3, like, I only watch one trailer. You know, usually when a movie that I'm excited for comes out, I don't watch multiple trailers of it. I watch that initial reveal trailer, then I wait till the movie actually comes out and then formulate an opinion. So, but yeah, my expectations for the movie, yeah, it was pretty much the same as 1 and 2. I just wanted to see what they were going to do with the storyline, so yeah. Before we get into the pros and cons, what I like, what I dislike, for those of you who are watching, just to give you a quick yes or no answer, is Sonic 3 worth watching in theaters? Number one, if you're watching this video and you are a Sonic fan, I don't have to sell you on it. The answer is an automatic yes. You guys probably already watched it. You probably already have your tickets. You probably did everything that you needed to do to secure your spot to watch this movie. So for you guys, I'm not talking to you. But for the average viewer who's indifferent about Sonic or not really a huge fan, I would say this is a fun watch. If you are a fan of fast-paced action movies with comedy kind of thrown in there, I feel like you'll have a great time with Sonic 3. There's a lot of great visuals, great action, great comedy. I think this is a movie that the entire family can enjoy. I mean, matter of fact, it beat out Mufasa, which surprised me. Well, I can't say it surprised me. I can't say it surprised me, but it beat out Mufasa. And when I went to go see Sonic 3 yesterday, there was a lot of kids, adults alike in the theater. So, you know, I will say Sonic 3 is definitely doing its things in terms of bringing the crowd out to the movie theaters. So shout out to Sonic. All right, now let's kind of get into my actual thoughts and review of the movie, I guess. So like I said earlier in the video, if you don't want to be spoiled, this is your time to click off, go watch the movie, and then come back to this video. That's your warning. All right, so I guess we're gonna start with what I liked about the movie. So as I said, I have notes here on my iPad, just gotta keep myself focused. The first thing I'm gonna say is I do like how this movie references the games in many different ways. You know, like I said, both 1 and 2 did this as well, but I love what they did here in 3. You know, one of the Easter eggs that I caught, and mind you, there's whole videos breaking down the Easter eggs of Sonic 3, so go watch those, 'cause I'm pretty sure there's some that I missed too, because this is my first time watching it. But one of my favorite ones is when Sonic Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles were on their way to Shibuya, when Gun picked them up to kind of help them with the Shadow situation, and he said the same exact line he did in Sonic Adventure 2. About it being a low budget flight and how he's out of here. I don't know the line verbatim, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So I thought that was a pretty nice like callback. And another thing that I love was the Chow Garden. They turned the Chow Garden to like a kind of like a cafe, Chuck E. Cheese type thing. But I love the fact that they acknowledged the Chows. Like listen, if you grew up in the era where Sonic Adventure 2 first came out, you know how great the Chow Garden was. Like, I'm not even gonna... I love the Chow Garden. Sega, bring back the Chow Garden immediately. But yeah, the Chow Garden. They brought back the Chow Garden, and I thought that was a really awesome thing, that they acknowledged the Chows in this. Yeah, that was the 2, and just a lot of the callbacks to Sonic Adventure 2 I thought was really cool. So yeah, I love the reference they made in the movie, and I always think that's a great thing that Sega and the directors do in these movies, where they make references where if you know, you can kind of chuckle at it, but it's not so like off the wall with the general audience, you know, is like what's going on. So props to that. The next thing I like about this movie is the visuals. The visuals here, they look great. Now, I went to go watch this movie in Dolby Cinema. So of course you have the Dolby Atmos for the sound, you have the Dolby Vision for the resolution or the screen quality. And I will say anytime that I watch a movie like this, I always try to pick a premium format, and for what I've gathered, for the most part, Dolby Cinema to me seems like the best movie experience when it comes to most movies that I go watch. So like I said, the colors really pop, the sound is like everywhere, it's great. But the visuals here are great. You know, the Sonic movies, I've never had an issue with the visuals. You know, Sonic 1, 2, and 3 does a great job with the character models, making everything seem great, great special effects. You know, obviously my favorite scene in the movie that really kind of highlights this is the chase scene between Sonic and Shadow in the middle of Shibuya. I thought that was like the dopest thing ever. And of course the fight scene between Sonic and Shadow at the end of the movie, where they're going all over different locales, I thought that was really awesome too. So as far as the visuals go, thumbs up. I love how this movie looks. I love how the character models flow. Again, the chase scene with Sonic and Shadow is great. The fight scenes, the colors, everything really popped. And again, if you're gonna go watch this movie, if it's available, whatever theater you go see it in Dolby Cinema, because I think that was the best experience for me watching this movie. And pretty much any movie that I talk about is you usually watch in Dolby Cinema. So the visuals, great A. All right, another thing that I really liked about this movie, it had a little bit of a darker tone to it. You know, the first 2 Sonic movies are pretty lighthearted, great stories, but still pretty lighthearted. I like here they had a bit of a darker tone. And I kind of knew that going in because of Shadow's backstory and Shadow being a more darker character. But I do like the darker tone of the movie and the more serious tones of the movie. I mean, there were times in the movie where I was tearing up because some of the stuff was kind of heavy, but I do like the darker tone that this movie presents and the more mature themes that it does put in the movie. You know, it's still a lot of jokes. You know, Jim Carrey is still playing Eggman, so there's a lot of jokes here, a lot of comedy moments. But I do like how they balance the serious moments with the comedy, so that's a plus for me as well. Now, going back to more of the visuals, another plus for me was the action sequences. I think this movie has probably the best action sequences in the trilogy, honestly. Again, spoiler warning, but the fight between Super Sonic and Shadow, I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was fantastic. It was really reminiscent, and I know for years people compare Sonic to Dragon Ball Z, but I feel like that scene was like it reminded me of like a Goku versus Vegeta. For some reason, when I was watching that in the theater, I couldn't help but to think of like Super Saiyan 2 Goku fighting Majin Vegeta. Like I don't know if the directors like pulled motivation from that, but it definitely reminded me of like a Goku versus Vegeta fight scene, which is really awesome. I have no complaints about that whatsoever. And again, I loved how Shibuya in this movie looked. You know, Shibuya is great. I've always wanted to visit Shibuya. Just seeing it on the big screen in this movie with all the lights and everything, I thought it looked great. So the action sequences are great, and it's very thrilling. Like again, my favorite scene is probably the chase scene with Sonic and Shadow, and just seeing like Sonic zip through all the cars and doing all these tricks. It was very exhilarating. So I found the action sequences to be very entertaining. So that's a plus. Another pro for me is there is less focus on the human characters. You know, the first two movies really kind of focused on the human characters a lot. You know, whether it was I can't remember the main character's name for the life of me right now. I'm having a brain freeze. But whether in the first movie where they focus on Sonic's human family, or the second movie where they focus on like the wedding and all that, the third movie really kind of focuses in on Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow as characters, and really not a lot of focus on the human characters. They kind of play the background this time around, which is not a bad thing. So that's one of the pros that I have, that are really kind of focused on the main characters besides the human characters. So that was a plus. All right, so now getting into my dislikes, which is not a lot. It's really not. Like, this is just literally me nitpicking at this point, because not to say Sonic 3 is a perfect movie, because it's not, but there were some things that I was like, about. Number one, and I know this is probably gonna get a lot of hate, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love Jim Carrey. I do. Jim Carrey is hilarious. I love a lot of his movies. I love him as Eggman. Props. But I feel like the comedy bits with him this time around, and I know this is gonna get a lot of hate. I felt like the comedy bits with him this time around was a bit too much for me. I felt like Sonic 2 had the perfect balance. And I know I said earlier that it was a balance between the darker tones and the comedy. Sonic 2, for me, had like the perfect balance of comedy and serious. This movie, I felt like leaned a little bit too much into the comedy aspect. Like, I felt like Eggman's screen time, or the scenes that he had, was a little bit too long for me. Now, granted, I love Jim Carrey as Eggman. I think he's hilarious. Don't get me wrong. There was times I laughed out loud in the theater, but I just wish they would have kind of shortened some of his scenes a little bit. And I know that is not a popular opinion. I know, because y'all love Jim Carrey, y'all love Eggman, y'all love it. But just personally, for me, my taste, I just like a little bit more balance between jokey and serious. So I know that's a hot take. I know it's a hot take, but it's my opinion. Another nitpick that I have is I kind of wish they dived a little bit deeper into Shadow's past. And I feel like it was oddly placed in the movie as well. I really wish they would have started the movie off with the Maria and Shadow arc, because I feel like we were introduced to Shadow in the beginning of the movie, and then in the middle of the movie, they try to put all these backstories in, like as flashback sequences, and I just don't think it worked as well. I think if they would have kind of did like what they did in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, where they would have put that backstory right in the beginning so the audience can connect with this character, I think that would have been way more impactful than them just kind of like going back and forth from present day to the past. You know, granted, I'm glad they touched on it, but I just feel like that would have hit a lot harder if they just would have took more time to flesh out Shadow's entire past in the first beginning arc of the movie, and then getting into Shadow waking up and, you know, running through Shibuya and all that, you know. So I just feel like the Shadow past parts, it could have been a little bit more fleshed out for me. And again, that's a nitpick. I enjoyed the movie overall, so that's not a big deal. All right, guys, well, that's pretty much my thoughts on the Sonic movie. Overall, I enjoyed myself at the theater. You know, I saw it once. I'm probably going to watch it again in theaters and again when it comes out on streaming services. But yeah, I really wanted to make this video just to kind of talk to you guys, and I want to hear your guys' comments. Did you see the movie? What did you think? Did you like it? And what did you think about the big reveal at the very end? Again, spoilers. If you don't know, there is going to be a Sonic 4, and at the end of the movie, there is 2 post-credit scenes. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, just seeing it when the movie ends, you have 2 post-credit scenes. One being the reveal of Metal Sonic and Amy. So it looks like they're gonna, I don't know if this is gonna be like a Sonic CD type of arc where they're gonna introduce Little Planet and all that, because, you know, again, spoilers, Eggman is no more. So I wonder if Eggman somehow survived. But Jim Carrey said he's retiring, so I don't know how they're gonna play this out. But Metal Sonic and Amy is gonna be in the next Sonic movie, and of course, the other post-credit sequence shows that Shadow actually survived the explosion from the arc. So that's going to be another thing. Shadow's going to return, obviously. And yeah, man, they're going to do their thing with this franchise. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with the Sonic cinematic universe, and what they're going to do with Sonic 4. Because, you know, Metal Sonic is one of my favorite villains or enemies in Sonic. So I'm really kind of curious to see what they're going to do with Metal Sonic and how they're gonna do it. So with that being said, guys, I thank you so much for sitting here with me with this review. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Is it your favorite? What's your favorite movie in the trilogy? What did you think about it? So on and so forth. With that being said, I am out, guys, and I'll see you next video. Peace.